All right, we're going to start. We're going to talk about healing your gut, like what causes all these problems in our gut, what causes all these food allergies, what causes SIBO, what causes leaky gut, and then what that causes. Because a lot of the underlying issues we have, like your gut is the underlying problem for almost all metabolic disease. And so I'm going to explain all of it. So I did a lot of research on this, and it's really interesting. I learned so much. I had no idea about any of this. So we're going to get right into it. And you can ask me questions along the way. So in your gut, you have this microbiome, right? It's all these different microbes and all these different types of bacteria, and even some stuff that's bad, which actually helps the good stuff if it's just a little bit, like a little bit of candida is good. A little bit of this is good, but the microbiome makes up how you digest your food. This is our largest reservoir of genetic material. And I'm going to get to what the issue is with our genetics after, with our chromosomes. But most of the reason why we're so adaptable is because of the microbes in our digestive system. So I think some of this is little, anyway. So we have, as humans, we have 22,000 functional chromosomes. It sounds like a lot until you find out an earthworm has 30,000 functional chromosomes. But we're the most adaptable. We're so adaptable. We could live in Antarctica. We can live at the equator. We can live in the desert. Like, we can live anywhere and adapt to anything. We can eat anything. We can eat meat, and we can eat vegetables, and we can eat fruit, and we can eat food from everywhere and process it. And, animals can't do that. You don't find a polar bear in the rainforest. You don't find a mountain lion in India. I mean, no other species, nothing else on Earth is adaptable and resilient as we are. And that's not because of our chromosomes. That's because of the millions and millions of diverse microbes in our digestive system providing us with their genetic material. And that's why we're so adaptable. So that's something I didn't really understand. And has anyone ever heard of the Human Genome Project? That's when they started researching this. So the Human Genome Project was like back in the 1990s or something. And when they started doing all this research, they found that we didn't have very many functional chromosomes and functional DNA. And so, like, well, why are we so highly functional? And that's when they started researching the microbiome and found out that these microbes that live in us give us this functionality. It's really, really powerful and interesting. Like, it has 2.5 million functional genes just from the microbes. So, but that's only if you have like a very diverse microbiome, which means you have a lot of different species in there. And so as we live in more and more sterile environments, our diversity goes down and down and down, and we get sicker and sicker and sicker and less resilient. So it's so important to have a functional microbiome. It's almost like an organ. Like, that's how important it is. Like, if you lose the diversity of your microbiome, it's like not having a functioning kidney or not having a functioning spleen. That's how important it is, like, according to microbiologists. Like, they look at things, like, how are we functioning? Like, we don't think that way. We're like, how can that be an organ, and how can these microbes do this? But that's how our body functions. So when it comes to like plants, so we can't digest plants. So we don't have the enzymes to digest cellulose, which is like, how like a plant has a cell wall and there's cellulose. There's all different kinds of cellulose, and there's all different kinds of enzymes. We don't have the enzymes to break that down. So if you eat a vegetable, the only way you can get nutrients from it is the microbes digest it and eat it. Wow. So if you don't have a healthy gut, you can't digest vegetables. So maybe you get bloated, or, people say like they have IBS or they have Crohn's and they're like, I can't eat vegetables. Well, that's because they don't have the microbes. If you put the right microbes in your digestive system, they will be able to digest that. But we don't have that ability. But those microbes allow us to take those polyphenols and those nutrients from these plants and these vegetables that we wouldn't be able to do otherwise. So most of what we eat is actually to feed the microbiome, not to feed ourselves. And then the microbiome provides us with a lot of nutrition. So postbiotic. Anyone ever heard of a postbiotic? Yeah, I never really did until I started researching this. But a postbiotic, so you have a prebiotic, you have the microbes are like probiotics, right? You call a probiotic. Those are the good microbes, they're the good bacteria. When they take that plant and digest it, they make something after. They make these short chain fatty acids. So it's like if you eat like a bowl of like celery, you have all these essential fatty acids like butyrate, which you can't really get any other way. And butyrate is something that people say you can get from butter. We don't know if you really can. I don't know if you really get enough functional butyrate from butter, but that is anti-aging. So if you have butyrate, it allows your cells to function better, allows your mitochondria to function better. Did I lose anybody yet? You guys good? All right. I wanted this to be easy to explain. We'll keep going too. So these microbes make all of these things that we really can't get any other way, that not only nourishes us, but allows us to live long and allows us to function really, really highly functioning. Okay. So this is our chromosomes suck. So they do, like you wouldn't think that. You'd think that we're so highly functioning, but we're not. But we are highly functioning enough that we can allow these microbes to live in us and do all this stuff for us, which is pretty amazing, actually, that that's even possible. It's like a really good, it's like a really good relationship that we have, whatever that's called. I can't think of the word. So this is why we're so resilient and so functioning. So, but like I said, as our microbes get weaker and less diverse, because we don't need as much diversity of food and we live in sterile environments, we hand sanitize and clean everything and scrub everything, it becomes less and less to the point where we have all these allergies now. So like when we were kids, did anyone have a peanut allergy?
No, I didn't know.
Maybe you did because you're young, but no one had peanut allergies. But now we have all these children that have these like life-threatening peanut allergies where they can die from a peanut. And so we're like devolving as a species because the microbiome in our gut is getting smaller and smaller and smaller to the point where now we're weaker and weaker, and we're allergic to everything. And also when some people get older, they'll say, oh, I can't eat this anymore, and I can't eat this anymore, and I can't eat this anymore. Now, if you're talking about like, I can't eat sugar anymore because I feel like crap, that's good. You're not supposed to. And if you can't eat wheat, or if you can't eat like garbage processed food, that's different. But if you're like, well, I can't digest cucumbers anymore, or I can't eat salad anymore, or I can't eat grapes anymore, that's because of your microbiome. It's not because you're getting older. It's because your microbiome is getting less and less diverse, and it's making you unable to be able to handle those things. I have a patient, she's 28, and she came in, she's like, I can't eat vegetables anymore. I'm like, what? She's like, I ate a bunch of vegetables over there, and she's pretty healthy, but she ate like a lot of vegetables over the weekend, and she got super, super sick from it. So I was like, here, take this supplement to like increase the diversity of your microbiome. Let's see what happens. And she came in a week later, she's like, I can eat all the vegetables now. It doesn't take long to fix it, but we think that, oh my God, I'm getting older and this and that, but that's not true. It's like your microbiome gets less and less diverse. And so we used to get our microbes, I'll be done at 1:30. We used to get our or 1:45. He wants to get it. We used to get them from nature. So we used to live outside and like drink from the river and be in lakes and go hiking and hunt and grow food. And you didn't like bleach it. You just like went to the garden. You can do it. People do that now. You go to the garden. Do you eat like vegetables from your garden without washing them?
No.
I'll go out, it'll be dirt on it. And I'm like, I don't care. I'll eat that tomato. It's like, whatever.
Look how healthy you are.
Right. No, we were at a farmer's market. We were at a farmer's market, and I bought all these cherry tomatoes for my son. And then he dropped a bunch on the floor, and I picked them up. I'm like, whatever. They were like picked from the garden earlier. He ate them. So, you know, kids who grow up on a farm and are dirty have like 40% less chance of having cancer. Dirt is good. It's dirt. That's where we came from. Like, this is not a natural environment to be all sterile. It's not. And you know what? The research shows that after the pandemic, where people masked and stayed away from each other, our microbiome got all the studies they did, and they checked certain people in different places, and it was like it went down by like a good percentage, like 15% less diversity of the microbiome, because we weren't around other people. And we were doing too much hand sanitizing, and that's just not how we're supposed to live. Like, we didn't live like that. If those bugs killed us and that dirt killed us, we never would have survived the first few thousand years when everything was dirty and no one knew anything. There was no hand sanitizer, there was no chemicals, right? So being outside and like going hiking and going to the river and gardening and just being dirty, that's good for you. Go eat dirt. It's true. It's funny because I'm going to be talking about like the supplement that, you know, the probiotic to take, but I've been taking it for 10 years. I didn't know all this about it. I just knew that when I was told about it, I was like, this supplement is like the probiotic you get when you're like, get dirty. That's what it's like soil. It's from the soil. That's all I knew. I didn't know about all this stuff, but I've been taking it for 10 years, and it's amazing. It was the one when I switched over to it, I was like, oh my, I felt so different, but I didn't even understand this, but it's true. It's like dirt. Like that's how we're supposed to survive. That makes us stronger. Like a lot of times it's these little stresses that make us stronger. You're not supposed to like be in a cocoon, right, in a bubble. Like we talk about it on the coaching. We're like, I was talking about this, maybe not for you, but for you, we were talking about, you don't have, it's like, if it's cold outside, it's like, oh no, it's cold. Grandma shouldn't be outside. It's cold. Oh, it's too hot. You can't put her outside. If you don't ever expose yourself to heat or cold or any kind of stress, you're going to get weaker and weaker and weaker until you just die. So when it's cold, be cold in the winter. Don't make your house 70 degrees. Like be cold in the summer, be hot. Well, you don't have to live like that if you don't want, but get out in the cold and go for a walk in the cold. That makes you stronger. It's hormesis. It's a healthy stress. Heat is a healthy stress. Exercise, isn't exercise good for you? Exercise is the same thing. It's providing a healthy stress. When you take a weight and you go like this, you're creating a stress in your muscle, and that's how your muscle gets bigger. Like if they've done studies, if you exercise and then after you exercise, you ice it and take turmeric, you won't grow muscle, or you won't grow as much muscle because you're not allowing that stress to work to make you stronger. Even a little bit of coffee. Like I don't drink coffee, but I like to start because I don't like it, but I would, to drink a little bit of organic coffee that provides a good stress for your body. A little bit of, you know, organic, good quality red wine provides a good stress for your body. Like we need to stress our bodies physically in order to be stronger. And that's the same thing with the microbiome. Like you go out and you get dirty and you don't like wash your hands constantly, unless you touch something really gross, you know, like I like clean up my chicken coop and then I like wash my hands. I'm not going to go pick tomatoes after touching that. Like that's the line. That's my line. Like holding the chickens and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to touch my face or my mouth now. I'll wash my hands. But if I'm just out in the garden picking stuff, I don't care, right? So we're so hormesis. That's why people go in the sauna for hormesis. That's why people go into that. Talk about that cold plunge. Hormesis. Fasting is hormetic. That's hormesis. There are so many different things that are hormesis. All right. So probiotics. So most probiotics are just total garbage. They're like market driven, right? They're like, you know, you go to a health food store and like, oh, what are your best probiotics? Like, oh, the ones in the refrigerator. I was like, oh, okay. What happens if I put that on the counter when I get home? Well, it'll die, so you won't be able to help you. I'm like, so you keep it in the refrigerator because it has to be alive. It's a live strain. I'm like, so if I put it on my counter, it's going to die? He's like, yeah. I'm like, well, then what if I put it in my body at 98.6 degrees? Doesn't it kill it? And they don't have an answer for that. And then it goes through your stomach acid, and your stomach acid is so acidic that it would burn the fingertips off you if you touched it. And so you're telling me that this delicate probiotic that has to be refrigerated is going to survive that? It does not survive that. Right? And so all of these probiotics that are like 20 billion and 300 billion and 55 strains, that's nonsense. There's no research to back up any of that. None. It just sounds good. But it doesn't do anything. So even like the lactobacillus that is in most probiotics, you guys know that lactobacillus, have you heard of that for probiotics? That's not something that's naturally occurring in nature. We're not naturally exposed to it. The only time you're exposed to lactobacillus is when you're being born, and then when your mother breastfeeds you. So that gives you a good dose of it. But after that, you don't find it anywhere. It's not something that naturally occurs in our microbiome. We don't need it in our microbiome. It's, you know, you want the probiotic to mimic nature. So if you went outside and you weren't naked and afraid, ever watch that show and you're like eating bugs and not showering for 3 weeks, you want the probiotics that you would be exposed to in that situation, because that's a natural situation. I mean, how we used to live, how we lived for thousands of years before the last century, right? We lived like that. So maybe not naked, but you know what I mean. So, you know, drinking water from rivers and not being able to sterilize it and not being able to be clean and all this others, eating bugs and dirt and all that. So that's the kind of probiotic you want in your body, the one that you would get in a natural environment, because that's the one that knows what to do and is what our bodies need, right? Yeah, so see, 99.9% of those probiotics just die in your stomach. And you know what happens is they die in your stomach, they get digested, and then there's debris, like cellular debris, and that gives you a very short-term response, and it helps you a little bit in short term, but then it just goes away after it gets digested. So it maybe helps you very short term, but it's not going to change your microbiome. It's not going to change the diversity in your microbiome. It's not going to do anything for you, any long lasting at all. So spores are what are naturally occurring in our body. So you want spores. And so a spore is a bacteria. The ones that live in us are called like different type of bacillus spores. And a spore is something that surrounds itself with like a protein armor. And because bacteria will go dormant. Now they've found the bacillus spores that are in our digestive system, naturally occurring, they've found them, and they're everywhere. Like if you go outside right now and grab some dirt, they're in there. So they found some that are 450 million years old. And when they put it in the right environment, they can plate it, and then it just starts growing again. So they can go dormant for a long time. They can survive. They've found them everywhere. They're everywhere. So they can survive the stomach acid, and they can survive 98.6 degrees, and they can survive everything. And they will not get rid of their armor unless they're in the right environment. And they have these like probes that are on the outside of themselves, and they detect what's around them. And when they find the right environment, they open up and start growing. And so when you take those spores, that's when it can really replenish your gut, the proper microbiome. So I just want to make sure, this is a lot of information. So they get into your small intestine at first, and then your large intestine, and then they just send out these like signals. And then your body sends signals back, and he calls it a molecular handshake. And then they know they're in the right place. And then what they do is they like search, they like go, and they scan the whole digestive system, your whole colon, and they locate things that aren't supposed to be there and ones that are supposed to be there. They know what's supposed to be there because they've been going in and out of our digestive system for thousands of years. So they know just what's supposed to be there and how much. So if they detect something that's not supposed to be there, they go over to it, and then they kill it. They will starve it, like C. diff. Have you ever heard of C. diff? It's like a really bad infection. People get it over and over again. Sometimes it kills like 30,000 people a year, whatever it is. The bacillus spores in the right kind of probiotic, these spores know that C. diff needs iron to survive. That's why it eats through your colon to get to the blood. So they know it needs iron, so it goes next to it and it like chelates iron from it, so it dies. It's like the only way to get rid of C. diff is with these spores. But the treatment for it is antibiotics, which kills all the other good bacteria in you. It doesn't really kill it. And then most people will just keep getting it over and over again. But you put the right spore in your digestive system, it will target it and it will starve it of what it needs. And then what it also does is sees all the good things that are supposed to be there and goes next to it and feeds it and gives it what it needs. So the microbiologist that I learned this from, he said that you could give all the money in the world to the smartest microbiologist in the world, and they could in a million years never create something that does this. This is nature. This is how it's evolved or what has been given to us. It's amazing, like what this spore can do. And in 3 weeks, it can actually change your microbiome 30% in just 3 weeks. And so it kills all the bad stuff and feeds all the good stuff. And then when it eats stuff, it gives the good stuff, the postbiotics to all the things that need it. It's just amazing, amazing. So this is what your lining of your colon looks like. And that area is an area of leaky gut. So you have to understand the microbiota before you understand leaky gut. So you're supposed to have all these cells with all those little villi and those get nutrients. And then you see the blue, that's like a mucosal layer that protects the lining. And then there's your so the white is like your colon where all the waste is. And so the mucosal layer protects the cellular lining of your digestive system so that nothing bad gets through it and it doesn't get destroyed. But it gets destroyed with stress, creates certain, like stress creates cortisol, and cortisol can eat through the microbiome. There's something called LPS, which I'm going to get into, which eats through the microbiome layer and eats through the mucosal layer. Eating sugar and processed food and not getting enough oxygen because you don't exercise. All of that stuff can create this inflammatory response, and it eats through your mucosal layer. Now all the waste from your colon that's supposed to leave leaks out into your body cavity. And then you have inflammation everywhere. So you have inflammation, it creates like this low-grade inflammatory response. And if this keeps going and going, you end up with an autoimmune disease. So that's where autoimmune disease comes from, because these things leak out and your body is like, we got to fix this, we got to fix this. And they keep throwing stuff at it. And now you have an autoimmune, like your body basically attacks itself because that stuff leaks out, creates a problem, and then your body attacks it, but it's really attacking you because now it's in your body cavity. And so that's what leaky gut is. And then you have so your body creates this inflammation in order to fix this problem. But in fixing it, it then creates all these other problems because this stuff's not supposed to be here. Now, if you have one area like that, and you don't change anything, it's just going to keep growing and growing and growing and growing and growing, right? That's what your body, it causes inflammation and more inflammation around it. Every single time you eat something, it will create a little bit of leaking in your gut. And so if you eat something, I think I have this on the next page. Let me see. I'll go back to that in a second. But every time you eat, it does create more leaking. And if we eat 3 times a day and then we eat snacks, it's just we're always causing all this damage. And then we don't ever have a chance, our body doesn't ever have a chance for it to heal it, right? And so these things, mucus, so like you have all these mucus degrading pathogens, and then they get into your body and they attach to your cells. And these are just different inflammatory markers and inflammatory cytokines, and then that causes all this inflammation everywhere. So one of the biggest problems is LPS. Now, LPS is a lipopolysaccharide, and it's normal to have this in your gut. It's inside a gram-negative bacteria cell membrane, just what it is. And it's very, very useful when it's just sitting up there in that, I think you can, when it's sitting up there, you can see LPS. It's very useful, and we're supposed to have gram-negative bacteria in our colon and in our small intestine and our large intestine. But if when the bacteria die, the LPS become free floating, and they can damage, it can start damaging the mucosa, and then it starts leaking through. And then it gets into your system, and I'll explain how this causes a problem. But LPS is like the biggest problem. So your immune system is designed to attack gram-negative bacteria. That's what it does. Because there's only gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria. There's a lot of gram-negative bacteria that are very, very scary, dangerous bacteria. So a lot of gram-negative bacteria are just really, really bad. And so our immune system is designed to attack it, to get rid of it, because it can cause life-threatening infections. LPS is gram-negative, but it's not life-threatening. But your body doesn't know that because our chromosomes suck. No, our body doesn't know that. It just doesn't. So it's just like, here's a gram-negative bacteria. It attacks it. And as it attacks this LPS that's floating everywhere, it gets into your lungs, and it gets into your brain, and it gets into your pancreas and your liver and your joints and everything. We just have all this inflammation everywhere because your body's trying to get rid of it. And then every time you eat, more and more LPS leaks through, and then more and more inflammation occurs. And then that's how, like, all these, it's like the underlying cause of all this chronic disease. Is that making sense? Mm-hmm. So your body thinks you have a blood infection, and then, right, inflammation is designed to heal you. Like, if you smash your hand down, it gets a little inflamed, but that's supposed to heal you. That it brings all these white blood cells to the area so that it can fix the problem. But when you always have inflammation, and it's a constant low-grade constant inflammation, you can't heal from that because your body never has a chance to heal from it. Then your body just gets all, have you heard, like, inflammation is the underlying cause of cardiovascular disease and diabetes and everything. Yeah. It's like skin diseases, everything, Alzheimer's, dementia, everything is cancer is an underlying low-grade chronic inflammation. And it's caused by this LPS that leaks through. And I'll show you on one of the other slides. The NIH, the American Heart Association, the American Diabetes Association, everyone has done research, and they all know that LPS is the underlying cause of all of it, and nobody tells anybody. But they all have research showing that. It's very strange. All right, I don't know where that is. It's somewhere. I'll get to that later. Okay, so SIBO. That's another thing. People say, oh, SIBO. Like, nobody knows what causes it. Like, oh, we just have this too much small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. You've heard of that, right? Nobody knows what causes it, but we do. Everyone knows some people know what causes it. So your small intestine is supposed to have gram-positive bacteria in it only, because they react differently. They're surrounded by a cell wall. They don't ferment. It's a completely different type of bacteria. That's just what's supposed to be in there. So if your small intestine gets overtaken by LPS or gram-negative bacteria, that's when you have all that bloating and all those problems. And that's what SIBO comes from. So SIBO starts in your mouth. So your mouth is full of gram-negative bacteria. And when you eat something or you swallow your saliva, it goes to your stomach. And our stomach acid is so, again, acidic that it kills anything, and it'll just dissolve like your hand, right? It'll dissolve anything. When our stomach acid gets too weak from either stress, like we think, oh, I have stress, I have reflux, I have to take an antacid. No, the antacid makes your stomach less acidic. And the problem with stress is that it doesn't cause you to be more acidic, it causes you to be less acidic. But then doctors are like, oh, you have too much acid in your stomach, take an antacid, take a protein pump inhibitor, right? Get rid of the acid in your stomach. Well, now your stomach isn't killing what's going through it, and all this gram-negative bacteria in our mouth goes through our stomach and then gets to our small intestine, and then boom, now you have SIBO. And then you have SIBO, they're like, you have to take antacid. Like, well, that's just making it worse. Right? Because no one's looking at what's really, it's not rocket science. Like, right? It's not hard. Any microbiologist can oh, this is what causes it. Like, you look at the small intestine and you plate it and be like, oh, look at all this gram-negative bacteria. And you plate someone who's normal, like, oh, there's no gram-negative bacteria. And then you do the research to say, oh, what does gram-negative bacteria do in your small intestine and why does it cause that? And then they find that that's the cause. And so the more antacids we take, the worse our digestive system gets, because then now your small intestine's full of gram-negative bacteria, and then it's going to throw it all into your large intestine. Then it's going to leak through and cause leaky gut and leak through. And now you have all these problems. And then we keep taking these antacids because our doctors don't know what else to do, right? And another thing that this LPS does is it slows down the muscles in your intestines. So your intestines are supposed to go like this and push food through. When you have a lot of gram-negative bacteria in your small intestine, it goes to your brain, and your brain doesn't send the signal to do this, so it just sits there. And then all the food in your small intestine just rots. And then it gets pushed down to your large intestine, and it's all rotten, and it causes more problems. Is this making sense?
Yeah.
And so as you heal your gut, all of a sudden you'll have this movement again, so your body can move food through before it rots in your stomach. So food just gets stuck. It's gross, but that's why you get all bloated. You get someone skinny and they're taking antacid and then they're bloated. Well, that's because there's too much fermentation in their small intestine because it's the wrong kind of bacteria. And then they keep taking this antacid and it just gets worse and worse. So that makes sense. That's what causes. Go ahead.
Does that have anything to do with weight gain and all that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because another one, that's a good point. So when you have food going through your system, you eat so that you can have energy. Because your cells need nutrients and need energy, right? But when you're not digesting your food, because if you don't have the right kind of microbes, like I said, you can't digest your vegetables, you can't digest anything. So your cells are not getting nutrients and they're starving and they're like, hello, we're hungry. And then you just keep eating and eating and nothing gets digested. You're not getting any nutrients.
Dr. Allie, so that LPS could also, when the food gets stuck in you, that's what causes maybe constipation.
Yeah, constipation is caused because there's no contraction. That's what causes constipation. There's no muscle contraction. Now, magnesium will allow your muscles to contract again. We just don't get enough in our diet, and you're going to get less in your diet if you're not digesting your food. But those bacteria signal your brain to not contract the muscles, so it's like double. It's the LPS, and then the lack of magnesium causes you not to do this. Yeah.
What else can reverse? You lose weight, in your stomach,
yeah, it can be why people are underweight too. Yeah. But also low-grade inflammation is going to cause a lot of weight gain too. Really, this is the underlying cause of almost everything. So I think I just explained this, but SIBO has an overabundance of LPS, gets dumped into the large intestines, causes inflammation, causes more leaky gut, causes more holes, and then it winds up in your bloodstream, and then it causes all the inflammation in your bloodstream, and then it's the underlying cause of everything. Like, that sounds like too simple, but it's not. Like, our body works a certain way. The problem is there's all these stupid diagnoses for everything. Every little thing that has to have a diagnosis. Oh, you have this disease. You have this disease. You have this disease. You have this disease. Everyone has all these different diseases. Doesn't really work that way. You don't want to name the disease. You want to say, why is my body not working? And so maybe your body's not working. You two can have the same problem, but you'll respond one way and she'll respond another way. It'll present differently, right? Maybe someone's more, in your family, maybe you end up with problems with your heart. In your family, you end up with problems with diabetes, whatever it is, still the same underlying cause. So instead of naming a disease like, oh, you have that, good luck with that. Take this forever, and it's really not going to get better. But come in next year again, and we'll keep giving you that medication that's not making you better, and now you have side effects, right? Instead of saying, okay, what's causing this underlying problem? You don't get a problem from nowhere. And there's I mean, almost every one of these metabolic diseases, there's no gene for it. It's not like, it's not, oh, my father had that. There's no gene for diabetes. That's all lifestyle. There's no gene for heart disease. It's not. And even if some people have a gene, they've determined there are these genes for certain types of breast cancer. Well, maybe there is, but that gene will not get turned on unless there's a problem in your body, right? So they have to be turned on anyway. And if you have a healthy lifestyle, it won't be, right? But there's always an underlying cause to absolutely everything that you have. So this is the blood toxicity. So yeah, so after you eat is when the most toxins will enter your bloodstream through a leaky gut. And here's the problem that causes chronic low-grade inflammation. We talked about that, but that can last for 2 weeks. One meal can cause enough inflammation that will last 2 weeks in your body. But then you have another meal, then you snack, and you have another meal, then you snack, then you have another meal, then you snack, then you have another meal, and it just keeps building and building and building. But one meal can cause 2 weeks of reaction. So sometimes when someone changes their diet, it's like, well, you have to wait at least 2 weeks. Like if you eat something that's causing a problem with you, you have to wait at least 2 weeks to see if that food, if you're better, because you're not going to feel better right away. If you stop eating it now, you have to wait at least 2 weeks. And again, low-grade chronic inflammation, that's underlying everything. So every time that this LPS leaks through your gut into your blood, it elicits this response. Every time you eat, your body goes through this response. And here's where it says it can last for 2 weeks every time you eat. So I'm going to talk about, this is like all like that, but I'm going to talk about how to fix it. It's easy. But understanding like how all different parts of your body respond and like what's causing it, then you understand it, right? So most chronic illnesses, almost every chronic illness is associated with chronic low-grade inflammation. We've all heard that, right, for years. All of them, diabetes, heart disease, any kind of dementia, cancer, autoimmune disease, POS, polycystic ovarian disease. A lot of people have that. And there's at least 60 others. So they never knew what caused this, but now they do. So here it is, the American Diabetes Association, the American Medical Association, the NIH, all of them acknowledge that these diseases are caused by the chronic presence of LPS. They've all done the research and said, oh, every one of these diseases, even if just the ones up here, like, oh yes, that's caused by the chronic presence of LPS. All right, here, keep taking your high blood pressure medication and don't fix your gut. Or you'll say, go to your doctor, like, I have leaky gut. Like, that doesn't exist. Has anyone ever tried to tell their doctor they have leaky gut? No. I have patients who've done that. Like, my doctor says I'm crazy. Did you? Yeah. And they'll say, what do they say? Yeah. Like, you crazy person. Yeah, they don't understand it. They don't understand it. I don't know. I mean, they just aren't told this. Because it's like an easy fix. And they can't.
Well, I had one that said that I had holes in my stomach lining. Okay. And how to fix it is they told me to use L-glutamine.
Okay, that's amazing.
And it did.
L-glutamine here's the thing with L-glutamine. It will heal the cell lining, but it won't heal the mucosal layer. So you just keep leaking through. Right. But it is something you can take. But you're better off taking a supplement that has other things that heal the mucosal layer. But that's the thing with L-glutamine, you have to take it every single day a little bit, and it closes the lining, but doesn't fix the mucosal layer. You want to fix the mucosal layer so that it doesn't ever get to the lining. But yeah, that's a good thing. It's amazing that doctor said that.
It was a Christian.
Oh, Christian doctor, right?
Yeah,
any,
and leaky gut.
Yeah,
Are they related
yeah,
to?
it's related to
So
everything.
what is first? Is the leaky gut?
Leaky gut. So the thyroid is always reacting to something else. So if you have a thyroid issue, it's not like, oh, well, your thyroid just stopped working. I don't know. It's always reacting to something else. It's always working too much to fix another problem, whether it's a hormonal problem that's trying to balance, a stress issue with cortisol, leaky gut issue. it's always trying, your thyroid is always trying to balance something else out. So you always want, so the gut is going to be one of the underlying causes of thyroid. So you don't just get a thyroid problem. It's reacting to something else. So it's almost impossible, like what these microbiologists say, to find a part of your body that LPS does not impact. Chronic acne, eczema, any kind of skin issue, cancer, just pick something. Diabetes, kids now are getting diagnosed with diabetes, like diabetes 2, when they're like in their teens. That's LPS. That's LPS causing the inflammation, and your body's trying to like fix this inflammation. So you almost cannot find a part of your body that is not impacted by this. It's very, very simple. Yeah.
Is there any kind of for LPS? Find out.
I mean, if you have any kind of problem at all, you have it, you just fix your gut. So here's the thing, you could run hundreds of dollars of like tests on your stool sample tests. You can get a stool sample test for $500. You can get all these blood tests. It'll cost you thousands of dollars. And it's always going to be the same fix. So what I don't think it's like, oh, you have this problem, do this. Almost every time, it's always going to be the same fix. So what you do, instead of getting all these tests done, you do like a protocol to heal your gut. And then if your problem isn't gone in 6 to 9 months, then maybe there's something that didn't get fixed or some weird thing going on. Then you get a stool sample test, right? Because then it's like, maybe there's something weird going on with you. Maybe you have some kind of weird parasite or something your body can't fix, or C. diff or something. I don't know. But you don't want to do that right away, because it's going to be like, oh, well, you have this. Like, do all these things. So you don't want to get 2 tests. And most people, when they go through like these basic protocols of like lifestyle change, there's like a 3-month protocol for healing your gut, all their problems go away. So there's no really reason to test it. If you have any issue at all, you have it. You just want to fix it, and then you want to fix your gut, and it's going to go away, because it's really associated with almost everything. Does that make sense? But I don't like doing that. I don't like doing a blood test when someone first comes in either. Like, why don't we just fix your lifestyle, wait 6 months, and then if it's something, again, not better, then you do a blood test. Because you're not going to do anything different at the beginning, because almost every problem has the same underlying cause. It also impacts fertility. So isn't there like a huge fertility problem? Like, so many couples can't get pregnant because LPS has spermicidal impact. It impacts the amount of sperm and the functioning of the sperm and the efficiency of the sperm. And it impacts the ovaries and estrogen cycling. So it's an underlying cause of fertility. Because again, 50 years ago, this didn't exist. None of this stuff existed. Who remembers going to the beach in the 70s? Anybody? Everyone's skinny. There's no like, kids aren't allergic to anything. You're out, you go to school and everyone's like throwing peanut butter around and no one's getting sick.
No.
People are skinny. There's no autism. There's nothing. So we didn't just get sick in 50 years, like for no reason. And all of a sudden, all of these things come up, right? We just didn't have the same lifestyle back then. No one had problems getting pregnant. I mean, maybe some people but there's very, very small percentage. So an unhealthy microbiome that has the leaky gut and it doesn't have the right kind of spores in it can cause all of these issues, right? Depression and anxiety is also, your brain is also associated. I didn't mention that with dementia. It's dementia, but it's also depression and anxiety. Because when I start healing their gut, or they give them what they need to start healing their gut and change some of their diet, their anxiety goes away and their depression goes away. All of this stuff, it goes on and on and on. It doesn't sound like it's related, but it's all related. I think Joy can send this PowerPoint too out to everybody. I think we're going to send it to like everybody on my list. So we are. All right. So this all starts with the leaky gut. So all we need to do is heal the gut microbiome and repair the leaky gut. So you have to fix all the microbes in there, and then you heal them. Then you heal the mucosal lining. You can't like heal the mucosal lining right away because all this bad stuff in there, it'll just keep eating through it. So you don't want to waste your time taking a supplement that's not going to do anything for a couple of months. You just wait, you just do one thing at a time. So you get the right microbiome, and then you feed the microbiome, and then you heal the mucosal lining, because then it's not going to cause a problem. So here are the lifestyle causes. Low-grade chronic stress, that decreases your stomach acid. That's like a trigger. So exercise, well, one of the things that fixes low-grade chronic stress, because exercise will eat away all that extra cortisol that you're like stressed. Like we live in such a world that like normally we used to have a cortisol release when like a bear was trying to eat us. Now it's like we have a cortisol release when somebody tweets something stupid. You know what I mean? It's like, so it's like, and then, so, a bear can come, maybe someone used to get attacked by a bear once every 2 years. You can see 10,000 things in an hour online that will make you so mad that will release cortisol constantly. So we have this constant stress. So like, stay away from the stuff that stresses you out. That's stupid. That's like number one. Maybe stay off social. If social media makes you mad, just stay off of it. It's not going to help you. I mean, if you're on social media to like find someone to buy your goats or something, right? Or like to find a community of people that's doing something positive, and that's fine. But if you're on there to yell at someone and that makes you feel better, then go yell at someone, get that out. But if you go on there and you get stressed out and stay off of it. I like arguing with people sometimes, but I don't really do it too much. It's kind of fun sometimes, but it doesn't stress me out, but I don't really go on there, so it doesn't bother me. But stay away from stuff that stresses you out. And if you have a lot of stress, exercise. Exercise will just eat away all your extra stress hormones and calm you down. And no one exercises enough. So you can just exercise a little more. If you don't exercise at all, just exercise a little bit. Like go for a walk every day for 5 minutes and then build up to 10 minutes and then build up to a half hour. Yeah. Or go on YouTube and find a little yoga that's 10 minutes and then do 15 or whatever it is, right? Just start somewhere and change something. Lack of sleep also decreases your stomach acid. Guess what also fixes lack of sleep? Exercise. And all the other things, staying away from like that blue light from those screens will help you sleep better. Yeah. Getting more sunshine during the day, like real sunshine, will help you sleep better. It's always simple. It's not like, okay, here's a list of 20 supplements for that and 20 no. It's like sunshine, fresh air, get dirty, get off social media. It's not complicated stuff, right? It's all the same thing. Over-the-counter antacids obviously cause it because it decreases your stomach acid. And of course, too much sugar, too much processed food, seed oils, and vegetable oils. So like sunflower seed oil and safflower oil and canola oil and any vegetable oil and soybean oil. It's all corn oil. It's so bad for you. Like I could do a whole talk on what that does to every part of it's so bad for you. It's so toxic. That's another underlying cause of a lot of problems, is because it causes inflammation. Thank you. Coconut oil, any kind of, you can even cook with extra virgin olive oil as long as you don't like heat it too high. Ghee is good to cook with, and like any kind of natural fat, like avocado oil is good. Butter. Beef butter. Just don't brown it too much. But ghee is good because ghee is clarified butter. So you can heat that really high. You can heat coconut oil really high. You can deep fry things in coconut oil. Beef tallow from grass-fed cows, duck fat, lard from pastured pigs. That's all good oils. That's good for you. Lard, but it has to be from a pastured pig. Can't be from like a factory pig that has full of antibiotics and all this stuff, right? So those are all good things to cook with. So this stuff is bad, these oils. All right, how do we fix it? What did I say? All right, like what did I say? I don't remember. So the more diverse your microbiome is, the longer you'll live, first of all. So you want to increase the diversity of your microbiome. I'm going to talk about how to do that. You want keystone strains in your microbiome. Those are the most important strains that like holds up the structure of your microbiome. Like there are certain strains that you have to have in there in order for your body to function and to digest your food and have a healthy microbiome. And I'm not going to name them because it just, most of them are bacillus strains, bacillus. The more of these you have, the more protected you are against all metabolic disease, and the stronger your immune system is, the more food you can digest, right? But these are not found in normal probiotics. Postbiotics, so if you have the right strains of spores, it makes all the right postbiotics and all these short chain fatty acids. So like I said, like a bowl of like celery with peanut butter can then turn into like the most amazing fat. It will turn that into the most amazing fatty acids that can like reverse, dementia and like heal your mitochondria. So now you live longer, just like any kind of fibrous vegetable. Those good spores will take that fibrous vegetable, digest it, and turn it into these fatty acids that can like heal so many things in your body. It's like, get to mitochondria. I don't, maybe not too much. Should I talk about mitochondria? All right, mitochondria.
It's important.
It's important. I can do like 4-hour workshop on that. The mitochondria are what makes energy in your cell. That's what it is. That's what gives you energy. Mitochondria is what's responsible for cancer. Almost every cancer cell turns cancerous because of the mitochondria. Not the nucleic acid, not the DNA in the nucleus, it's the mitochondria. So the mitochondria, so when they did some studies and they sent samples of cells with mitochondria to these microbiologists, and they didn't tell them anything about the samples. They just said, tell me the difference between these samples. One of them was from a 5-year-old boy and one of them was from a 95-year-old man. They didn't tell him that. They said, what can you find different in these two samples? The only difference they found from the 5-year-old boy to the 95-year-old man was the 5-year-old boy had 100% functioning mitochondria. The 95-year-old man had 3% functioning mitochondria. Nothing else in the cell was different at all. Nothing. So when you take care of your mitochondria, you live long and you have higher quality of life, and every cell in your body functions better, including all your brain cells.
Right.
And you prevent cancer, right? I can't say 100%, but so that's your mitochondria. So short chain fatty acids, so these spores take all the stuff that they digest and make butyrate, and butyrate combines with polyphenols in like berries and dark colored fruits and vegetables, and purple and red and dark green, and it makes and it heals your mitochondria. You should take a spore-biotic, even a berry powder. I take this berry powder, the different colors, and then it makes butyrate, and then that heals your mitochondria. So it's like good quality foods of all different colors. This is what we've been told for years. Eat a lot of different colored food, but that's why. Now you know why. So if you know why, you're more likely to do it. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
well, now I know why. It's not like someone telling me some random thing. You're like, if you know, you're like, that's going to make me live longer. All right, give me that. Give me that. I'll take that. How much of that can I take? So that's why I take berry powder. I have this powder on purple and red. You're getting a gigantic amount of polyphenols, which you can't digest without those microbes anyway. So you could be eating berries all day. Without the right spores, you're not going to get anything from it. It's just going to go right through you or cause like a digestive system, or let's say you have colitis or whatever it is. And competitive forces in the microbiome are important. So just like hormesis, just like being cold and being hot in the microbiome, you don't want to completely eradicate candida. You just want to have some candida and some of this and some of this, a little bit. It keeps your microbes healthy, fighting it. It like keeps it working, right? It's not the same thing. It's like a hormesis. But when candida gets too much, then you want to lower it, but you can't get rid of it. And you don't want to get rid of it. It's always going to be a little bit in there. So that's what a healthy microbiome is. Now, how do you increase the diversity? There's a lot of ways to do it. Increase the diversity of your diet. So eat all kinds of different colors of fruits and vegetables and tubers and roots, like potatoes and like cassava and all these different things, stuff like that. Anything root or any kind of tuber, like celery root and turnips and all these other things. Because you want a bunch of different types of foods and different kinds of meats and fats and
Why
nuts.
so many people say don't eat white potatoes?
I mean, because it's too much sugar. So maybe white potatoes aren't the best because they've been so altered to be so high in sugar. So like purple potatoes and like sweet potatoes, you can still eat some white potatoes. If you have a good microbiome, it'll take the white potatoes and it'll turn it into butyrate and make you live 5,000 years. 500 years. 500.
Say that again, Dr.
Hmm?
Say that again.
I was just kidding. If you have a good microbiome, you can actually eat some of those potatoes and it'll turn it into something good because it'll digest it. Because sometimes we can't digest it and then it's just sugar. So here's an idea that he had. So again, most of the food we eat doesn't feed us, it feeds our microbiome. And that in turn gives us what we need and allows us to take the nutrients. So here's an idea he had. Now, maybe you'd want to do this. Maybe you don't have time. Go to an ethnic grocery store and get some kind of weird thing you never had before. Because that will feed different types of microbes in your digestive system and they can flourish. So different types of microbes process different types of food. So if you get all these weird different kinds of food coming in, different colors, all these different microbes and spores will be able to proliferate because you're going to be feeding them. And that's how you increase the diversity. So like even today, like hunter-gatherers over in Africa, different, I forgot the country he was talking about, but they study them. They said their microbiome has like 700 different microbes and normal American is like 150.
Wow.
So because they're getting dirt and all kinds of like, they find this time of year, they find this time of year, they just find all these weird things, right? So try to eat foods that are different. But you can also just get like these powders and stuff too, if you can't always find weird stuff. But eat different colored things. It's like when I have a garden, so I'll grow things you can't find. So I'll grow all these heirloom, I'll grow like purple carrots and like, red something this and purple tomatillas and weird colored lettuce, just because it's something different. That maybe you can have something different in there. And it's like, it's fun to grow weird looking fruit and vegetables anyway, right? I love it. Like, oh my God, how purple they are. And I was like processing all these purple carrots and like my hands were purple like a week. I couldn't get it off, but it's worth it. Fasting dramatically increases the diversity. So microbes, there's different layers of microbes. So there's like primary layer and there's all these different layers. These ones that when you eat, these microbes go into effect. These microbes may not go into effect unless you have stayed away from food for 6 hours because they're just dormant. So like if you put food out on the table, you may not have like a bacteria or mold or whatever growing on it for 9 hours because those microbes just are dormant for that amount of time and then they become active. So in your gut, if you just always eat every few hours, you're always going to use the same microbiomes. But if you fast for 6, 9, 12, 16 hours, you're going to wake up all these different types of microbes that do all these different types of things that will actually clean out your system. So fasting, it's a good, that's what another good thing about intermittent fasting. So you eat dinner at night and then you don't eat for 16 hours. Don't eat breakfast, just eat lunch.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you have all these microbes that are like turned on and doing all kinds of cool things in your body that you weren't able to get before because you were just constantly eating, only using this one layer.
16 hours.
16 hours is like really like ideal. You may want to start with 12 hours and that's fine. Start with 12 hours. All we do is digest our food all day. All your body does is digest food all day. Give your body a break and stop eating every meal. Like Give yourself 10, 12, 14, 16 hours to recover from digesting and let your body deal with other problems and fix other things. Because all the energy is used for digestion, right? You don't need to snack between meals. I don't snack ever, never snack. Make yourself get really, really hungry and then eat a bigger meal. Like, so 4 days a week, 3 days a week, I fast until dinner. So last night I had dinner and then I'll eat dinner tonight. And I'll have like a little fruit. Fruit is a little different, but I'll have a little fruit during the day. I've been doing this for like 12 years. And your body just gets used to it, right? You just get used to doing that. But it gives your body a chance to like clean up dead cells, to heal something that may be developing in your body. So you don't need all this food.
What about diets that tell you to eat every
No.
like 6 meals a day?
No. That's never been good. Because if you eat too many meals a day and snack too much, your insulin is going to get messed up and you end up with diabetes because it's going to mess up your insulin. You should be hungry when you eat. You don't have to eat all day. You're not going to die. You can do most people can do a water fast for 3 weeks and still not lose all the weight they want to lose or whatever. Your body can handle fasting is really, really good for your body. And so I've been doing it for years. It takes doesn't take that much to get used to, but it's really, really easy. You don't really get hungry. Yeah, you need water. Like you can live without food for like months, but you can't live without water. So you can do a water fast. I mean, someone has cancer, they should just do a water fast for 3 weeks. Almost every cancer will just go away, get healed. Because then your body's now, have all this energy focused in on healing this cancer, and you're not just constantly causing all these problems. But I'm not telling you to do a water fast, but I'm saying you can do that. So you can like not eat, right? Just don't eat. Don't eat between meals. Once in a while, it's fine. It's like 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, do really good. 20% of the time, whatever. But if you do 100% of the time, whatever, bad, you're just going to be sick. Right?
Good.
Yeah. But it's not difficult to do that. It feels, once you like fast, like after a while, when you fast, you're not hungry. Like I'm fasting till dinner tonight. I'm not hungry. I have more energy. I have too much energy. So I can't fast overnight. I won't be able to sleep because you get so much energy from not eating. So like if I eat lunch, so normally I'll eat lunch and dinner, and then other days I'll just eat dinner. So for lunch, I'll have this big salad, and for dinner, I'll have meat. When I fast all day, I'll have all that food in one meal. It's not like I'm eating less. I'm just eating at one time. So I'm not like starving myself. I'm like, I'll eat a big salad and then meat. So I'm not like eating less calories. It's just you're eating it. You can eat the same amount of calories just in a smaller window. Just give yourself a break, right? It's not like starve yourself. It's like eat all that right there in an 8-hour window. Ideally, right? 8 hours, 12 to 8. 8 hours, and that gives you 16 hours of fasting.
Go to sleep.
Right? I cannot, but I've tried to do like 3-day fasts. I can't sleep because you have so much energy. So.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay, get outside, get dirty, garden. Don't use hand sanitizer unless it's essential oils. That stuff is going to kill you. That stuff destroys your microbiome. You put hand sanitizer on, you're destroying your microbiome in your gut. Don't use it ever. It does. It just gets into your body. It goes through your skin, goes into your bloodstream, and it destroys your microbiome. They've done studies on hand sanitizer. You don't even have to take it internally. You put it on your skin, it destroys your microbiome. You clean with bleach and breathe it in, it destroys your microbiome. Use vinegar to clean. So use natural stuff to clean. All these chemicals are terrible. Go hiking, go to rivers. You don't have to drink river water. But if you're near the river, if you're in the woods, if you're getting dirty, if you're gardening, you're going to get all that. Your hands get dirt on them. You get spores in your body now.
What kind of essential oils would you use in place of your?
Oh, On Guard.
Yes.
That it's like a blend. Joy can tell you about it, but that's a good hand sanitizer. I'll pass it around if you guys want to see.
Yeah, let's put some in a little bottle. Yeah, I have some that.
Yeah, this is like
Oh,
essential oils, and this will clean your, so they've researched this on guard, and they can clean a counter with it.
Yeah.
And then for 5 days, nothing grows on the counter, and you can
Yeah.
even spray it in your mouth if you have like a sore throat. That's on guard with just water. Like use vinegar and baking soda and essential oils to clean your house. Like you don't have to, sterilize everything. Like during the pandemic, I never wore a mask once because that's going to destroy I never distanced myself from people because that's not good for you either. I never wore gloves. I never used hand sanitizer. I treated people with COVID. They would cough on me, and I didn't clean my table except with this stuff. No one got sick. I never got sick. That makes you stronger, right? That makes you stronger. And reduce your exposure to pesticides and herbicides also. So like all those herbicides, like if you buy fruits and vegetables with a lot of pesticides on it, that's going to destroy your microbes and kill the microbes. Antibiotics, like if you buy meat that's not grass fed, you're going to be getting antibiotics and steroids in there. You don't want that. That's dirty. That's gross. That's going to kill you. It's going to cause problems. Same thing with milk. We sell raw milk because that's the best milk to buy. It's grass fed, raw. It hasn't been pasteurized. It hasn't been homogenized. Like the cow, and then you drink it. That's really what it is. And that's what we're supposed to drink. My boys have been drinking that for years.
Yeah.
They won't even drink any other milk. Like if we run out, we don't have any, and we go buy like grass fed milk at the store, they're like, that tastes like water. They won't even drink it.
Wow.
So, and that's also has all good kind of probiotics in it because it hasn't been pasteurized, which sterilizes it. Oh, that's the hand sanitizer I use that has essential oils that won't destroy your microbiome because it's not like chemicals that are meant to do that.
Did you make that yourself?
Yeah, you just put like 10 drops in a water bottle with water. It's not, you spray it in your mouth. It's like I have a sore throat, I'll spray it right in my mouth. So it's clean. You can eat it, whatever, you can drink it, doesn't matter. And just use only natural cleaning products and like look at what you're putting on your skin and what you're cleaning with, because all that just like, you don't want to live you can be clean without living in a sterile environment. And everyone should get chickens because then you'll really have lots of microbiome. There's actually like, when chickens lay an egg, there's like a protective bacterial coating around it. And it can survive, it won't go bad. This coating keeps the egg you don't have to refrigerate it for months. This bacteria protects it from breaking down. But if you wash it off, you have to put them right in the fridge or it goes bad. So that's good bacteria that's protecting the baby inside there. If there's a baby inside there.
Protecting the egg.
Yeah, protecting the egg. So we have chickens, we never wash the eggs, we just put them out. And then they can be out for months. Then they can be in your refrigerator for like 8 months. They never go bad because they have this protective bacterial coating. But once you wash that off, then the egg will go bad. And they do that, and it's like that because the baby has to, the chickens will lay eggs for a while, then they'll sit on them, and then they sit on them for a month. So it can't have this bad bacteria getting in. So nature is amazing. You guys have any questions? Wait, hold on, there's more. We talked about all this, manage your stress. Anytime you have stress, it puts cortisol in your digestive system, which makes it leakier, and it creates a rebound effect, making you more stressed. And, the polyphenols we talked about, the colors we talked about. And so there's like a protocol, you guys, we can give you a protocol. So for a month, you take the spore-biotic, so to replace the spores. And then the next month you take that with a prebiotic that feeds the spores. And then the following month, you take this mucosal product that heals the mucosal lining. It's very simple. So that's like the protocol. It's really simple. It's like 3 months. Usually after 3 months, we have the handouts. You can grab a handout. Noah, go get the handouts. This is Noah, my son.
These are the handouts.
Oh my gosh, he got me the handouts. Can you pass them out?
Behind you.
I didn't know. So this is the probiotic, this is like the little protocol. Usually after 3 months, everyone is like, most people are just better. Some people need to do it for a couple more months. You could just ask me what you want to do.
Okay, so I just started taking that.
Yeah.
So this is my first week.
Yeah.
The day starts week 2. So
Okay.
Now I just took it. It says with food.
Take it with food. It
But I
works
just-
better. It's okay. It's better with food.
Should I see a difference already? Because I really don't.
No, it might take a couple of weeks. It might take a couple of weeks.
Okay.
And I have a coaching group that I'm working with. If you guys want to join it, where we go over all this stuff and I help you we do it twice a month and I help you guys make all these changes and you ask me questions and we go over all that stuff.
Excellent,
Apostle Cheryl helps me run it,
excellent.
keeps her people in line. And if you're interested in that, ask me. You guys have any questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Um, So for this, when, it was mentioned before about glucosamine, they said Nexus.
L-glutamine, yes. Yes, so the so that's the 3rd month. So L-glutamine will only heal that lining. I'll show you. So you see the swirly, this is what L-glutamine will heal. It will close up those gaps, but you still need the mucosal lining to keep all the stuff away. If you close up the gaps, every time you eat, they'll just open again. So-
L-glutamine will heal the
Just that,
intestinal line,
but you don't,
but you want the mucosa.
right, so this mega mucosa stuff, I think it has L-glutamine in it, but it has other stuff that will heal the mucosal lining, because you want that healed.
Is that the blue part?
Yeah, the blue part is the mucosa, that protects the lining. So the L-glutamine will heal that, but every time you eat, it'll just get leaky again. And from either side, from both sides.
And then you mentioned something about digestion when people have trouble digesting the food.
Yeah,
And so I've heard about digestive enzymes.
yeah.
What are they?
Those are just, and like your pancreas normally makes enzymes to help you digest food. And a lot of food that's raw will have enzymes in it to help you digest it. So if you eat a salad, it has all the enzymes already in it to help you digest it. When you cook food, so if you cook vegetables, it's harder to digest. You end up stressing out your pancreas because your pancreas just keeps trying to make all these enzymes to digest everything. So taking a digestive enzyme just gets your body digesting food a little easier. Yeah. So at first it's good. Like if you have a big meal, take a digestive enzyme. I'll usually eat a salad with a meal. So that'll give you more enzymes to help you digest the other stuff. But it's good to have a digestive enzyme if you have something big meal, or if you notice that you have a lot of like bloating or like you feel heavy after a meal, just maybe have a digestive enzyme around if you can eat a lot on Thanksgiving or Christmas or something. Or eat a lot of junk or whatever one day.
I've used Beano, it's helped me a lot.
Yeah, it just
It's
kind
all
of helps you
It's an all natural.
Yeah,
enzyme, Beano.
yeah, right. All these things, they just help you. Other questions?
So why do you have this gradual instead of all at once?
Because you don't, you'll just be wasting your money. So until you heal this, if you don't heal the microbiome, it'll just keep causing holes. And then you're taking prebiotics that are feeding bad bacteria and your mucosal lining, you'll take the supplement and it'll just get ruined. So you don't wait, you just wait. You don't do it all at once. Yes.
Because my purpose is using to figure out what's gonna work for me,
Right,
for a lifestyle change.
right.
I've done a lot of things. And a lot of them work.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you talked about fasting, can you incorporate a juice fast in that?
Sure,
Because it builds your cellular.
sure. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I'll do juice once a week I'll drink green juice.
You make it yourself.
Yeah. That's fine. Kids, they can take a half of a Megaspore. You open up the capsule and you put half in water and they can drink it. We also have like a chewable. So there's no powder for the spore-biotic, but there's powder for the prebiotic and the mucosa. But the spore-biotic, I buy my boys the chewable ones, so I don't have to tell them to eat it. I have to tell them to stop eating it because it tastes good. No, I do. I'm like, 2. That's it. 2 a day. So, but if your kids don't like the chewable, it tastes really good. You just open a thing, put it in something. They won't even taste it. They don't have to know they're taking it. Just put a half a capsule of a megaspore in there. And then and then after a month or so, you can add a little prebiotic, which is a powder, tastes pretty good. And then they can do the same thing. Just do it like half. You can even give it to your baby. Like, no one here has babies, but you could put a little spore-biotic in your baby, in your breast milk even.
Is this a one and done, or you have to continue?
You would continue like a probiotic every other day. And then once in a while, you can take some prebiotic. It's not forever. You don't want to do something that's like, oh, it's forever, because it's not fixing anything. This will fix you, and then you just go on a maintenance plan, which is like probiotic, even 3 days a week. I take it every day, because I just do. A bottle will last you 2 months if you take it every day. Take it every other day, it'll last you 4 months. And then you can take a little you can take a little bit of the prebiotic a couple of times a week. For the prebiotic. The mucosa you don't need after you heal. Unless you have a real stressful event and you start feeling sick, take a month of it.
Someday you're gonna be change.
Right, you have to change. Well,
You're gonna be leaking all over.
right, you have to fix your underlying problem. That's why you want to do this. So this will help you, and then you change your lifestyle, start changing your diet, reduce your stress, get outside more. That's why I have the coaching, so that we can go through like what's holding you back, and we can discuss it, and then you develop these good habits, and then they last. Once you have good habits developed, then that's your new habit. Lifestyle change. Any other questions?
Now, you said that
Thank you.
this process heals, actually it's healing your cellular level.
Yeah,
That's
it's
it.
healing all this,
Right.
and it's healing your
What about
whole
your
micro.
eyes?
Well, once your microbiome is fixed, you're not gonna have any of that LPS leaking out, because that will go to your eyes too. And then and then you do some fasting, and your body will clean up all that junk. So when you fast, your body cleans up all the junk. So it'll clean it all out. But it's like, first you have to stop putting toxins in,
Right.
heal that, and then your body will take care of it.
So I should get rid of the night.
Some nightshades, if you have an issue with nightshades, get rid of them. Yeah. It's not, yeah, go ahead.
One of these is a probiotic.
Yeah, the top one. It says month 1, that's the probiotic. Yeah, the prebiotic is the 1 month after you start the probiotic. When you run out of the bottle, when you run out of the first bottle, you buy another bottle, and then you buy a prebiotic. And then when you run out of those 2, you buy all 3. That's really it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.